Hi, my name is Desmond. I just thought I'd do a quick video to help people understand how high FP flash mode works. I bought this old Canon camera. Luckily they're going cheap these days, an old film camera. And just to demonstrate how it works, I have it at a 1 second exposure. We push the button, the mirror lifts and the shutter opens. I have a flash here on manual mode. I have this old Canon camera here. I have the back flap open so you can see through it. What happens is that as you push the button, the camera fires a pre-flash just to measure how much light it will need. Then it opens the shutter, fires the flash and closes again. And you can see that the shutter was open for the whole period of the flash, so the whole frame got the flash. So let's just have a look at that with the flash mounted on the camera. The shutter is open for the whole time that the flash fires, and the whole frame gets the flash at the same time. Now let's see what happens when I set this camera to 1/1000th of a second. Turn the flash on. As I go to take the picture, it drops to 1/90th of a second. So that's obviously the maximum flash sync speed that this camera can do, 1/90th of a second. If I take an older flash, I have this old Nikon SB24, I have it in manual mode, and now I'm set at 1/1000th of a second. The camera doesn't really know there's a flash there, so it fires now at 1/1000th of a second. But what happens to the picture at 1/1000th of a second if the camera can't handle that shutter speed? Well, I did a few experiments where I took pictures of the back of the camera as this was happening, and I'll show you my results. So what does high FP mode do then? What it effectively does is that over the time that that camera shutter is sliding across the screen, it does something similar to this. It fires as a continuous light. The flash stays on for the whole time that that shutter is sliding across the screen. Now effectively, the amount of energy that the flash pushes out when this happens is more than a full power flash. The shutter is sliding across the screen as a slit. It takes a certain amount of time for this to happen, and a lot of that flash is wasted on the back of the shutter, which means you're getting less power. And if you look at the distance settings on the back of your flash, you'll see that you're actually getting half the distance when you use high FP mode, which according to the inverse square law is 1/4 of the flash power. So if we have a little more than 1/4 of full power, how much distance can we get with high FP flash? Assuming a bright sunny day, f16, ISO 200, 1/200th of a second, the flash tells us at those settings we have 15 feet working distance. Now if we want to go to high FP mode, let's assume we go to f8 At f8 we're letting 4 times as much light in, so we have to go to 1/800th of a second. We're in high FP mode, so we've got 7.8 feet working distance at 70mm zoom. If we decide to let more light in, and we decide to go to f4, we're letting in 4 times as much light, but then we have to adjust the shutter speed, and we're cutting that light in a quarter again. So we're getting exactly the same working distance as we would at any other setting in high FP mode if we're exposing the ambient correctly on a very bright day. So that's not too bad, 7.8 feet compared to what we would have at f16 and 1/200th of a second normal flash sync, 15 feet. It's a little over half the distance, which means we're getting just over a quarter the flash power, and 7 or 8 feet in the brightest sunlight possible isn't too bad. Now what you have to remember is that these settings are for lighting the entire subject with the flash, and we're not going to do that outdoors in bright sunlight. Most people just use it as full flash. There's our 7.8 feet there. A lot of photographers will have this set at -1.7, -1 2/3 EV, which gives us 14 feet at that setting at 70mm. So if you think about it, since you're going to be outside in bright sunlight, only using it as full flash, in high FP mode, 14-foot working distance is a reasonable distance and flash power to have, considering you're working with 1/4 of the normal flash power.